Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Dave Berman here on Delco Sports 360. Our special guest is Chris Edwards, one of the greatest high school football players and PIAA state champ, Strathaven High School. Yes, he played under Coach Clancy. 25th anniversary of the first ever Delaware County team to win a PIAA high school football state championship. Strathaven, located in Wallingford, serving Wallingford, South Media, Rutledge, and Swarthmore. They won it again after Chris graduated in the next year, 2000. Unbelievable, 25 years. We're also going to talk later on about the 2024 high school football, the playoffs coming up, District 1, our Delaware County teams involved. It's going to be unbelievable, and I can't believe the 10 weeks went really, really fast. And, Chris, you lived through this back in the days. Thanks for joining me on the show. We're lots to talk about here. You know, get in there and swallow the mic like you swallow your food.
Okay, Dave, thank you. Thanks for having me, like
there you
always.
Go, bro.
It's always a pleasure.
And your boy says, there's two of your guys. Can I mention their names?
Yeah, that's fine.
With you, anything goes. Al D. Domenico. No relation to Al Domenico, this legendary 76er trainer. No cursing, he says.
I said I'll try to do my best.
There you go. Teddy Podboreski, he'd like to do something like this. Our Sun Valley grad was on our show a couple years ago, and hopefully he can do something similar to a show or what I have out in there, Harrisburg, Town Gazette. Chris Deering says hi.
He was on that team. He was on tight end, number 85.
So, 1999 was your senior year. 1999-2000, beat West Allegheny. But we got to talk about, Chris says here, the class of 2000 for Strathaven, 7th grade, 6-1, 8th grade, 7-0. 8th grade was 1995. Freshman year, 96, 8-0. Again, we're talking the fall here. JV 97, 10-0. 98, 13-1 varsity. 99, 15-0 varsity. 59 wins, 2 losses in 6 seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, and you were playing varsity, I think, all 4 years?
No, I played JV. I played freshman. So Chris and a couple other guys like Pete Celebre, Aaron Carter, Andre Moore. And, I could name everybody, but I would have to look at the list.
Yeah, well, I have
we all kind of stayed together. So Chris Deering said all that. Class of 2000, yeah. I mean, sometimes when my mom and dad mentioned the record that I had in high school, even grade school, 7th and 8th grade football, I lost 2 football games. I didn't know how to lose. Like when we lost, it was like, and we shouldn't have lost. I don't even know. I don't know who we lost to in 1994. Because we were stacked. We had Mark Jones. We had everybody. You know what I mean?
Had to be somebody. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who we could lose to, and then at 98, that was a dagger at Allentown Central Catholic at Whitehall.
State semifinals.
Yeah. We beat Berwick 14-10 the week prior.
I drove up for that. I was talking to some guys about that, but yeah, we'll go year by year here, leading up to 1999. Jared Ray says hi. He thinks you're the greatest University of Delaware center of all time, and you won a national championship there, 1AA.
I appreciate that, Jared, if you're listening. We were pretty good there, too, so I was blessed to be around guys like yourself and Paul Thompson, Trip Del Campo, Jay Neary's, Rick Lavelle, Jesse O'Neill, and Brian Sims. We had a pretty good, and Scott Conley, Mike Buckman. We had a real good starting line down there, so I appreciate that.
Under Casey Keeler.
Well, Tubby was first.
Tubby was first, but the championship with KC, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now, Strathaven, small town America. The PIAA state tournament actually started the fall of 1988, and we had Ridley go a couple of years after that, 1990. They lost a heartbreaker in the state championship game.
Wasn't Dennis Decker the quarterback then?
Dennis Decker, who I've yet, believe it or not, I have not met. I heard he's a wild and crazy guy.
He's a great man. I had the privilege of coaching with him when I worked at Glen Meadow Schools for, a couple of years, and he was a pleasure to work with. I always wanted to work with him at Ridley because I knew that he would let me do my thing. And that's like coaching what it's all about. When you're on a coaching tree with guys like Kevin Clancy, and Jim
Right.
Connor. It's hard to kind of like put your 2 cents in sometimes. You're more of a role coacher, but Dennis he was a good coach when he was at Ridley too. So.
Yes, unbelievable quarterback. And Strathaven, Coach Clancy took over the fall of '91, and they had some really good teams with Ike Jones.
Yeah.
And a team maybe in '92 or '93 that could have probably gone to the state finals, but it was limited teams back then. It was very political, right, with Berwick and all that stuff, and they got in. But then finally,
well, it was different though. I can remember as a kid, Tony Branch, Corey Mott, Eric Hollingsworth was on that team, a Strathaven guy, coach. Now he's at Ridley. Ike, Matt Conway, name just some of the good football players that came through those doors at the school. It was a big deal for Strathaven football because Interborough, even though it was only a couple towns over, we played them in what was considered to be a district championship game when Ike was there.
Yeah.
And I can remember as a kid, playing rumble fumble on the side of the bleachers and everything, and just looking at I can't believe Lamar Campbell. You're talking about some great players
right.
now.
94, 95, a couple of, mediocre seasons, no playoffs. And then finally, 96, you were a freshman. They won a district championship. Mm-hmm. And back then they won a district championship. They go to the PIAA state tournament. The 92 team, right? The 92 team with Ike Jones, they won a district championship.
They beat Interborough. Yeah. I think that was
right.
that was the equivalent to a district championship game. It was one game. And they were stacked too, man. Ike, I think Ike was the quarterback. I can't even remember, but
unbelievable team, but they had, I'm trying to look it up right now, and it was just, and that year, the year before, 91, 92, soccer was unbelievable, 5 state titles with Coach Barr, and then 91, 92, the year before the 92 football team, they went to the state finals in basketball, and Isaac was
Kevin Towns was the guy.
We've had him on our show.
And who was the guy, Blackhawk. He played at UNC.
Dante Calabria.
He killed us.
Him and Hal Kenneman. I was there on press row. It was March of '92. So great time for Strathaven sport. Back then, you didn't have to worry about the Philadelphia Catholic League teams, the charter, the Imhoteps. But you still had the Allentown Central Catholic in '98, and we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, so Strathaven, when you look at their history here, actually appearances in the District 1 championship game 13 times, and then 92 and 93 they were there. So just
you put all this out?
Yeah, I did that in 2022. Strathaven 93 is the year. 93 they won the District 1 championship. But then, all right, 96 you're a freshman. When did you see this coming? An unbelievable run. 96 district champs had to play Berwick, lost. 97 District 1 champs, 3A, only 4 classes back then. And you had to play Berwick again. That was a Coatesville in the mud. You lost. And then 98, you beat Berwick.
14-10.
Yeah, up at the Wilkes-Barre Myers Stadium, and then you lose to Allentown Central Catholic by 1 point.
Let's talk about that real quick.
All right, so what you want to start with
98?
No, we'll start with 98.
And then
and Steve Lennox's son actually, he was a kicker for your team.
Yeah, he missed 2 extra points.
Okay, well. And
I don't mean that in a negative way. If anybody's out there listening,
well, Steve Lennox is. Wait, keep an eye, an ear out on his granddaughters. That go Strathaven. They're tremendous soccer players, and I know girls basketball players. They're 9th graders this year.
Oh, really?
Fanning, Fanning last name. So Steve must live in this Strathaven district, or
it's his sister probably,
or his daughter. Steve's.
No, it's not Steve's daughter. I think the Fanning is. His sister married somebody.
Yeah. Well, no, I think Steve. If I'm not,
I don't know.
Steve's the grandfather. Coach Lennox is the grandfather.
But his son, Steve Jr. is the kid I played with.
Oh yeah, right. All right. Anyway, so back to
you
98.
asked a question about when did you see this all happening, right? So, Chris broke everything down, which I'm surprised. I can't remember if I went to the bathroom this morning. But 94, we were a good football team then. I think Bob Powell was our coach then.
He was coaching when I was
Yeah.
back in Nether Providence.
And he was our middle school football coach. And I don't know who else was one of the coaches over there, but we had a lot of fun. So that year, 6-1, 7-0. Then we go to freshman year. Freshman year, obviously, Mark Jones is a freshman. We don't have him on the freshman team. We went 8-0. And I split time in 97 between JV and varsity. So, obviously that year in 1997, we lost in Coatesville in the pouring torrential down rain, 7-0. Berwick had Gus Felder, which was a Simon Gratz kid. Cody Hall went to Salesianum.
Yep.
His name's Robert Hall. He actually moved out to Allentown, Parkland area. His son, I think they call him Champ, or I can't remember his name, but he moved out there for the football. So him and his wife, they call her Slim, JMU guys, athletic family. That year we lost. Roger Benson pops up in the air. Dan Mulhern runs it in, completed pass in his arms, never hit the ground. Line judge calls it dead. We lose 7-0. So that left a bad taste in our mouth. And I think as the younger guys like me, Chris Deering, Pete Celebrate, Aaron Carter, Mark Jones, everybody that's on that list, we just worked real hard in the off season. That was one thing that we kind of prided ourselves on. Me and Pete Celebrate were kind of like the I don't know what you want to call it, like emotional leader of like the weight room and stuff, because Pete was real big on like protein and like being in shape. He was all into his body, and like I gravitated towards him because I liked the weight room. I was a big weight room guy, and that was our thing. So we were real strong, like our line, we averaged. We got.
Well, I got the weights here. Your senior year, you have.
Deering was our tight end,
6'3",
195.
Aaron Carter, the center, 6'4", 275. He was a senior when that 99.
Yeah.
First ever state championship football team in Delaware County. Pat Patel was a junior, 6 feet, 205. Andre Moore,
5'10",
legend.
210.
Yep. Senior on that team. Chris Ayers, you were 6'3", 265.
I wish I was 265 right now.
All muscle. Well, you weigh more than that.
If that's what you want to call it.
Zach Love, who's got a kid coming up, right? He was a tackle.
Yeah.
Junior, 6'5", 290.
So
that's the offense.
Yeah, that was our starting 11. But we also had Kyle Stevens. We called him Square Boy. He was one of the smallest kids probably to ever play the offensive line at Strathaven. He rotated in a lot with Andre and Pat Patel. Mr. Clancy always liked to have like that 3-man rotation because, at Strathaven, they're notorious for running the ball. So instead of Mike Connor running over to the sideline all the time, he'd have these guards run the plays in. So it helped us out a little bit. But we did pass a little bit more back then because we had guys like Mark Jones, Josh Annam, good tight end. Celebrate can catch the ball out of the backfield. Matt Zangrilli. The list goes on. But,
right.
Just looking. But when you look at all this, the offense, and you come over to the defensive side. Kevin Mudrick, saw him at the game, Springfield Strathaven game this past week. Aaron
Does
Carter,
he have a kid playing?
He does. I don't know his son's name. That's the first game I went to. So Aaron Carter, Chris Edwards, Steve Windsor, this kid was our stand-up defensive end, which was a solid. He was also a tight end, double tight end package.
His dad, Steve Windsor.
Yeah, his dad.
Giorgio's Pizza.
Yeah, Giorgio's Pizza.
Back in the day.
Yeah, now just go. If you want Giorgio's, just go to Just Pizza on 9th.
Oh, yeah.
It's the best pizza around.
Absolutely.
John Mulhern, obviously everybody knows him. I played football with him, middle school, high school, and college. Him and his brother, Mike Cunningham, a junior. He was a stud. I remember. We're talking about the state championship game soon, but just look at the list: Matt Zangrilli, Tim Bentley, Josh Shannon, Mark Jones, Pete Selber, Mike Cunningham. All these guys, we played both ways too, and when we did that, we were conditioned. Mr. Clancy was a man of few words. And, as I got older, I realized that he actually liked me. You know what I mean? Because, the coach-player relationship it was more business. You know what I mean? That's why he had, the Bob Jessens, the Bob Powells, Paul Taggs, Mr. Connor. Without those guys, we would have been nothing. Mr. Connor is probably one of the best all-time high school football coaches in Delaware County ever to coach here. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying that because I mean that. He's the reason we won 95% of these games because he was a game planner. He set us up to win on the offensive side and the defensive side. So, you know.
Jim was actually, Strathaven first year was the fall of 83,
I
83,
read that,
84.
and then he went to Swarthmore College.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You saw
I
it?
read your post, yeah.
Yeah. Jim, and then Mr. McFadden took over for a few years. Jimmy
Mr.
Mack.
McFadden coached me in 7th or 8th grade basketball, and my mom, if she was here, she would cry laughing right now. I remember we were playing basketball, and I wasn't much of a basketball player. My family, my dad, my brother, my nephew, stuff like that, we were a basketball family. I was like the oddball. I played football, and it was directly after football season, and this kid was driving baseline. I think I tackled him, and Mr. McFadden was like, Chris, like, you're gonna kill these kids. I was like,
Right.
I didn't want them to score. Like,
You would have been a good street hockey player.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So Mr. Mack, he started at Nether Providence like '67. He had a heck of a run with the Emperors, the Speakers, and those old heads back then. I mean, unbelievable. So then, so '98 in that your junior year.
After we beat Berwick 14-10.
In that Berwick game, you had a drive in the third quarter that took up, I think, 11 minutes of the third quarter, similar to the drive the Strathaven team had last year in the District 1 final against Chester.
I think it was 28 plays. I can't remember, but what set the tone for that game was we were in their house. Obviously, it's like, it's like playing at the Citadel, like the Boneyard, like they're on top of you, So, it's loud. It's a hostile environment. Berwick High School football, Ron Paulus, a lot of guys went there. Rocket Ishmael.
Life or death. And George Curry had a lot of power.
Yeah, he did. And, I remember just the lead up to that, like my junior year, it was like, we had Jim Connor, son on the team. He was a tackle. Sean Maxwell.
Bradwell?
Ray Bradwell's.
Ray, yeah.
We had everybody. I don't think Sean Maxwell was on the team. Sean Maxwell graduated. It was Jim Connor. Mm-hmm. We were stacked. We had kids like Hugh Haney, this kid McCafferty. He was just a scrappy kid, like kids that had balls. You know what I mean? Like they weren't afraid. They were up for the challenge, and like we rallied around each other. But what really set that tone was the second half, I believe, and man, Pete Celebre came down on kickoff, and he was like a bat out of hell. Just comes down, running down, buries this kid. You could hear from here, Wilkes-Barre to New Jersey. That's how hard he hit him. Put him out of the game.
Yeah,
that set the tone.
I got some good pictures there, man. Yeah, that's when you pounded the kid down? There's a picture there.
Yeah, I think that's not me. I think that's Celebrate. Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, Eric Smith of Berwick and Pete Celebrate, number 44, Strathaven.
Smoked him. That was the hit from the special teams.
Return man Ben Culver lies injured after being tackled. Yep.
Yeah, if Pete, you're listening, you smoked that kid. That set the tone. Like, they get the ball. We're 3 and out. We come in and we just start controlling.
But Pete's looking at him like, I got a close-up of the picture.
Yeah,
and Pete's looking at him like, you okay? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, we were football players, but we also, cared,
Yes.
So that right there set it up, 14-10 to win. And it's like you got that momentum going into the state semifinals out in Whitehall. We're playing, Casey Williams that you heard about.
Oh, yeah,
Penn
Casey
State
Williams.
guy. He's the best. He's going to bury you guys. Mm-hmm. Well, I hate to tell you, Casey Williams was over me, Chris Deering, Steve Windsor. We shut him down, and we ran right at him. So it was one of those things where, we had kids. We didn't care, man. Like, we stuck together. We played together, and that was the big thing. We never made mistakes, and that was Mr. Clancy's thing. It's still his thing now. So ball security, staying on sides. If we're going on 2, we're going on 2. We're going to run 83 ISO, 87 ISO until the cows come home. We're going to pound you with Celebrate. Then we're going to hit you with a counter crisscross with Mark Jones. And once we do that, then we're going to throw a long ball to Josh Hanna. We were lucky. Josh was a sophomore then, and he was a freaking speedster. You know what I mean?
Yep. So that drive in the state quarterfinal game against Berwick, you started 1st and 10 at your own 15-yard line. Actually had the entire, all the third downs and fourth downs, and it was just so you didn't commit a single turnover.
No.
On that drive, and it drained 11:51 off the clock.
It's
Berwick,
amazing.
in turn, had possession of only 7:08 in the 7 minutes. Just like it reminds me of that the Chester game last year, the District 1 championship, man. 7 minutes in the second half and just 2:29 in the fourth quarter. That's unbelievable. And you guys pulled it out and beat Berwick, number 3 team in the country. And then, then you unfortunately lose to, Allentown Central Catholic. But it's your junior year. You knew you had another year left.
Yeah, so that was the beautiful part about it. We knew we had some good sophomores coming up, like Zach Love when he was a junior with us in '99, and obviously Josh being a sophomore. We had some really good role players, which helped us out. And Tim Bentley, we can speak on him. He, he wasn't the fastest kid, but he was right where he needed to be on time. He was like Johnny on the spot. Like, if we needed a pick, he would come up and get a pick. You know what I mean? Like, Kevin Mudrick, not big, 5'10", 185. He played nose guard for us. Mr. Connor always liked those shifty kids because it freed up me and Aaron Carter a lot. So,
So you come back and you run the table again in '99. You started the year and you beat a Philadelphia Catholic League team. You beat Roman Catholic, and what was it like? We're playing a Philadelphia Catholic League team. It was 21-0.
So if Chris Deering's listening, I'll never forget this on our highlight reel. They used to run a version of the wing tee, and
Roman.
Yeah,
a lot different than this Roman team this year.
Yeah, Roman stacked this year.
Run and gun, man.
So they block everybody down. I cheat my alignment a little bit. I buried his kids. The first play of the game, I think I popped the ball out. Chris is like, if this is how it's going to be, and we're going to have a freaking great year. You know what I mean? Because me and him were both on him, So we were sound up front, man. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams during the regular season didn't score on us.
You only beat Upper Darby 12-7, though, second game of the year in '99.
That was tough.
Who was the coach of Upper Darby then?
Rich Gentile.
Oh, yeah. Gentile was there.
And Coach Booth. He was my Hero Bowl offensive line coach. Coach Booth was an amazing coach. I loved him. Even though, like opposing teams, they get to know you a lot, and the run-ins with them and stuff like that. Rich Gentile worked at the Wallingford Swim Club in the summer.
Nice
Nice
guy.
Always talk smack. Yeah, he's all right.
You got a rough deal at Upper Darby.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know much about it.
They're down now. So then you beat Lower Merion 49-0. It just seems like they just can never really get it together in football. They produce some. Obviously, basketball's a whole different ballgame. Springfield Delco,
Let's
you go.
talk about it.
A 15-10 win for you guys. And I was following down there. I'm looking at the score. I go, how good can this strat there? Is that state championship quality? But yeah, look at those teams are damn good too.
Yeah. So Springfield, has always been tough. They've always been in the mix, right? And the year they played us tough, the coaches, they know that we control the ball, so they did everything in their power, prolong the snap count. Wait the whole watching the line judge, making sure that we don't get on the field because they know our speed will kill them. And the quarterback there, I don't remember his name. He got drafted in the MLB. What's his name?
Oh wow, not Randazzo, is it?
No. He went to O'Hara.
Okay.
I don't know his name, but my dad would remember his name. He was their quarterback. He was a good football player. So that year, you got week 1, week 2, week 3. We're into week 4. We had some injuries. Mark was a little banged up. Matt Zangrilli. Pete, we had a lot of energy, even myself. So there was stuff like, I never missed anything. So, like we would give Mark some breaks. Like you can't just run the horses all the time, So we had a lot of really good backups our senior year.
Josh Hannum was a 10th grader on that team.
He was.
Yeah. And, Speedster. Dad, Bob Hannum, legend. Yeah.
Yeah, so Springfield was tough. And we were lucky to sneak by him a little bit. We got... then it's like
the game with Conestoga was close, 14-10, 14-0. But
Mark or Pete Celebrate didn't play a snap that game. I don't believe. I think Mark was hurt,
okay,
and I think Celebrate had some back problems. So that was tough. Mike Calder or Carl Bradwell. Not Bradwell. Carl McBride was his name. I believe he scored against Conestoga, but we rode John Mulhern like a
Son of a gun.
A son of a gun at that
Yeah.
game. I mean, he carried the ball. He had to carry the ball at least 35
Boy,
times.
yeah.
Just an animal, like the bloodline. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like John was a hell of a football player.
So Dan graduated the year
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
Okay. And his son's
Dan,
leading.
Dan graduated 97. His last year was 97.
Oh,
he didn't play on that any of the state runs, right?
So the Mud Bowl. His last game
that
was
was
at
his last
Coatesville.
game.
But his son Luke is a leading tackler on the team this year, the Stratford
Yeah, that's what I
team.
heard.
Yeah. So, and he's only a junior.
Conestoga, then we go to Ridley.
And, yeah, 21-3. I mean,
We
no
played them
real
there.
blowouts against some of these teams.
Well, Ridley always played us tough.
And they were bigger schools, too.
Yeah, they had some bigger guys that played for them, but nothing too crazy. But Ridley always, that's a rival. It's a backyard rival. Ridley always played us tough. We played them there that year. They had a kid named Mike Dollar. It's the only kid I can remember. You know, he was a lineman. Radner, we had a lot of injuries, but we ended up beating them 49-0. And always Haverford, like, you know, they always showed up too. It was always like, oh, the undefeateds meet again. And we played them out there and we shut them down. And then Marple Newtown leading that, what's that, week 9?
Week number 9 regular season.
Yeah, we beat them. We shut them out. And then,
Pencrest.
yeah, Marple Newtown was, I ended up getting hurt that game. I think that was our homecoming. I'm not sure. I think we played them at our place.
But the regular season that year, you only gave up a total of 20 points. So
It's amazing. And
then you go to then it was a sub-regional District 1, District 11, and it was a semifinal game. You beat Perkiomen and Valley. Grant Wiley was on
Grant
that
Wiley
team.
was a West Virginia football player.
And you just smoked
we smoked him. I mean, we smoked him. I mean, like, when I tell you, like, we just lit him up like a Christmas tree.
42-0.
Mr. Connor, like, again, our whole staff, Coach Carr was with us for a long time, and he was a hell of a coach. He was a good rapport guy with the kids and stuff. You know, he's a D-back coach. He did an amazing job with us. Pat Evans, his son played at Garnet Valley. His nephew, Billy Brown, played for Yeah, so Pat was a huge help for us that year. Like, I idolized Pat just because of his past and where he's been playing football at the University of Minnesota, then playing for the Cowboys for quite some time. But yeah, man, like
Perkiomen Valley now, you know, they're a 6A school and they're pretty good. And Chester beat them this year. That was a huge win. We'll get to that a little bit later. Then the team from the Cole region, North Schuylkill. Yep, up there, right? Coal Crackers.
They scored on our twos.
Yeah, it was 56-0, ended up 56-14. Then you go officially to the PIAA state tournament.
Dallas was tough.
Ted Jackson, always tough. I mean, that's up there near Scranton.
No, we played them at Westchester, so we had home field advantage. We played them and Manheim at Westchester.
Yeah, Ted Jackson was the coach, but they are located up in Scranton.
So that Dallas game, Dave, we played on a Saturday, and we're not used to playing on Saturdays. We're Friday night light type of people, right? So we had so many, like, stupid mistakes, and I can remember almost swallowing my mouthpiece. That's how mad I was. When we got touchdowns called back.
What, did Clancy lay into you guys a little bit?
I don't think he ever really laid into us. I can't. It was more Mr. Tag and Mr. Connor.
Oh, yeah. Late
but
great,
Mr.
the
Connor
rest in
never
peace,
really,
yeah.
like, laid into us. Mr. Tag was more the vocal.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Well, he's from he's a coal cracker, man. Old Forge,
So having Mr. Tag, like, for all the years that I had, and God rest his soul. I mean, he's
just gotten our Delco Sports Hall of Fame.
He should have been there a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, we
like a lot of other people.
I pushed for it too. I'm not going to pat myself on the back. But I just did. But anyway.
I remember just, like, you know, like, it's always like the mistake-free stuff, and that's kind of like, you know, this is back in the day. We're talking 25 years ago, and football's changed so much drastically from now to then, right? From now to back then. Like, just different, you know what I mean? Like, the different types of kids, like harder kids, you know, like where, you know, you got more Division I kids coming out of this small area. And, you know, but Dallas was tough. I remember getting like 2 or 3 touchdowns called back. And I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it is hard to believe.
It's hard to do that. It's like, yo, how are we going to keep scoring? And we're just getting it called back. Like, eventually, like, this is going to be a burnout and we're going to lose. Like, you know, but, like, that's, like, in your head as a player, right? But we ended up winning 27-3.
Right.
Manheim Central.
Yep, one of the greatest programs in the history of
we could talk
Pennsylvania.
about,
They could, Mike Williams, the coach, They had Jeff Smoker was their quarterback. Jack McCaffrey, the Delco Times did an unbelievable, tear-jerking article. I was on the radio in Virginia then, and back then the internet kind of just started, and the Delco Times, I could actually get on my computer and look at the. But anyway, so Jack writes a story, and I'm like, wow, this is huge. Yeah. This is a chance for, and that was a war, and I think, was it at Coatesville?
No, it was at Westchester University.
Oh, okay, and man, Smoker went on to major
State
things.
Yep. Played in the NFL. So Jeff Smoker, I think we showed up when we needed to show up, and we talk about the defense and how that was designed. We ran a 52 defense, so we would always cheat the nose guard over. We would cheat our alignments down. We'd be a 5-eye, 4-eye, depending on what Mr. Connor allowed us to do that day. And Aaron Carter was. Playing football with Aaron Carter, being, him being the center, me being a tackle, but defense was like my thing with him, man, because he would get double teamed and it would free me up. So they would double team him one week and then I would get double teamed. So we balanced each other out. So it freed up guys like Mike Cunningham to come up and pop. Steve Windsor,
pick your poison.
Yeah, pick your poison, dude. If you got two hogs outside, how you gonna block both of us at the same time?
Yep.
You can't. So that was then we look at all this stuff like Dave breaks everything down to this is crazy.
Yeah, this is an actual preview that I got
from the program. Yeah, the championship game.
Pittsburgh Post Gazette.
Yeah, so
they make it big, boy.
Just scoring 436 points to 58. That's a testament to the whole team, right? So 58 points, it's crazy.
So Mannheim Central could never get by Berwick, and then they couldn't get by Strathaven. As it turned out it could never get by Strathaven. Amazing, but they finally. Oh yeah, they did one time. Dan Connor senior year, but then you want to get into the team leaders on that '99 Strathaven State Championship before we talk about undefeated West Allegheny and your first look at a Whippeal Western PA team. So, right.
Yeah, you look at their stats, it's they're very similar. 438 points scored, 50 let up. We heard about that all week going into it when we went out in Hershey. Obviously, Tyler Palco was a hell of a football player. He could run the ball, pass the ball.
Sophomore on that team.
He was a sophomore on that team. He was a very boisterous sophomore as well.
So, talk a little trash out there?
Play with an attitude. There was another guy on that team. He coached at Delaware briefly when Dave Rocco was the coach.
Kevin Campbell. They had Joe Slappy, wide receiver.
I can't remember the guy's name, but he did coach at Delaware after Keeler got fired, and a couple other coaches. But, you look at these guys. They had some linemen. They had a decent-sized lineman there. I think it's this kid here, 6'1", Fertigo or whatever.
Fedorko.
Yeah. That was his name. I think he wore my number.
Okay, but we don't have.
I don't. But, you look at everything comparable and stats and stuff like that, the team leaders, we rush the ball, they rush the ball a lot. But what sticks out is, when you do the math on this, these running, celebrate rush for over 1,000 yards. Right. Mark Jones touched the ball 93 times, 821 yards. Just imagine if he touched the ball another 90 times. You'd have, 2,000 yards. Then you got Mulhern, 500 yards as a junior. Carl McBride, he stepped up, 59 for 343, receiving touchdowns.
Mark Jones had 22 TDs that year, and going into the state final, and then Pete Celebrate at a monster state final. Connor, 73 out of 133, quarterback, 1,232 yards.
Yeah, he was a quarterback that we had to throw the ball.
And a junior. Yeah,
and a junior.
6'5", 6'6".
Yeah, huge kid. So
you match up with West Allegheny, and I drove all the way up to that game. It was very cold. It was
the best.
It was
T-shirt, socks on.
Brutal. Hershey Park Stadium.
Freezing.
Wow, a chance to finally a Delco team to win a PIAA state championship in football, and it was an absolute war. And it's thank goodness my buddy Jed Donahue, he longtime broadcast buddy, he broadcast the game on PCN, and I'm sure you watched it a million times.
Yeah, I did.
What a great telecast archived on YouTube.
Yeah, so the lead up to that, obviously it's a big game. First time we're ever in a state championship game with, Coach Clancy and our staff. And it's a little like nerve wracking because you don't know what to expect, right? You're getting out there. We're playing in the biggest stadium we ever played in. Like, obviously we came strong with our crowd, the band, all the kids that we went to school with.
What about that reputation of the WPIAL? What did you know about just incredible?
All you heard is these kids are coal mine kids. They're tough kids. They're this, they're that.
They eat nails for breakfast.
Yeah, they don't eat nails for breakfast. I mean, that's what they tell you, but they're kids just like us. They bleed like we do, right? They cry when they lose. They knock the dirt off when they lose to get better. But I wasn't like, when I heard stuff like that, Mr. Connor, he always prepared you. Like I was I was the easiest person to like manipulate when it came to like people. Like Mr. Connor would have folders in my locker saying that this kid's talking smack, and I would want to go out and kill him. You know what I mean? I was like a lawnmower. All you had to do was start me up, and once I got going, that was it. So that like, you hear all this stuff, and it's like I don't care about Tyler Palco. We need to shut him down. Good ball player, you know what I mean? But guess what? Tyler Palco threw a nice pass on that sideline, and if it wasn't for Mark Jones popping that ball out, it'd be a different ball game.
Was ahead of the pack, going in for a score, and Jones just never gave up, and he hit him from behind ball when it was turned out to be a touchback.
Mike Cunningham ended up picking up in the end zone, so that really helped us out.
Right,
so.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so that's stuff that vividly sticks out for me.
It turned out to be 21-7 was the final. You held those guys to 7 points. But again, you look at the Whippeal playoffs, they only beat West Mifflin. West Allegheny did
3 points.
10-7. Ralph Holzer's alma mater, fine referee in this area. Thomas Jefferson, that's his alma mater. Jefferson.
He's a basketball ref, isn't he?
And football.
He's good friends with my dad, I think.
Yep. West Allegheny beat them 17-0. Then Bell Vernon's always tough, 37-12. The Pittsburgh Perry, very athletic, but Pittsburgh City, 31-14, and then 21-7 in the final.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just super thankful and grateful for the opportunities that I had as a kid. That kind of set me up where, I didn't know, I didn't know how to lose. And like when I lost, I was like, it's hard for me at times now watching my son, and he plays football and basketball, and I just sit back and like how can we win? How can we make you got to lose to be successful, right? But we didn't really lose either. Me and Mike Connor played St. Francis of Assisi CYO football, and we won the Parade of Champions. And we had a silent snap count. I was Mike Center. We beat the crap out of everybody too. So it was one of those things.
Played against the great Tyler's dad, Bob Palco.
He's in Michigan now.
Well, no, this is an older picture, a couple of years ago. He coached the Mount Lebanon team
that played Emotep.
St. Joe's Prep. And beat them up. It was like a 40-20 game. Yeah, it was a couple of years ago. Beats St. Joe's Prep in the final. St. Joe's Prep in football has been the 8 straight state finals, 6A. Lost twice, both to WPIAL teams. Suburban Pittsburgh, Steel Country, and Imhotep has been to a bunch of state finals. They lost twice the last 5 years, and the teams that beat them, they beat our teams up pretty good in the semifinals. But Imhotep lost it to Whippeal schools, Bell Vernon, and also Pine Ridgeland. There's another one. So anyway, Bob, you ended up Strathaven actually. After in '99, you played West Allegheny again, won on a field goal at the end of the last seconds, 31-28. That was in 2000. Then played them again the third year, unbelievable, and they finally got the best of you in 2021, where you were at Delaware at that time playing big-time college football.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't believe it's been 25 years.
Technically, yeah, it is. That's unbelievable.
25
That's
years,
unbelievable. A quarter of a century.
It's like, I was 18, had the world by the balls. You know what I mean?
And I'm 66 years old, so to me it seems like yesterday.
Well, you look good for your age. I always tell you that. You keep in good shape.
Thanks, appreciate it. You guys just keep working out. I got a wife keeps me in line. So there, man, I'm telling you. So that's an incredible honor there. I'm going to share this link with the Strathaven people, and we could just go on and on
forever.
Yeah, and then you want to tell us about Delaware, and you win a national championship the fall of 2003.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, obviously Dan Mulhern and Pat Mulhern, Matt Conway, just to name a couple people from Strathaven. Went to Delaware, starting off with Pat. Pat was older than Matt. Then Matt was the player of the year, offensive lineman, defensive lineman from Strathaven. Was a hell of a football player. I actually idolized him when I was a kid. And I wore his football number because he wore number 76, and I thought he was the best thing to ever come through Strathaven. I wanted to be just like him. And I think I played like him too, so he'd be proud if he kind of knew me when I was a kid. But, you know, watching him play football and going to Delaware, this is like all the Delaware stuff, right? So, you know, obviously Pat Mulhern, Dan Mulhern. Dan's like, you know, you ever see the movie Jerry Maguire?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, the guy showed me the money, and Dan was the guy that said, you need to calm down. So Dan actually was a huge, not just a friend, but like a huge
mentor.
He played a huge role in my development at Delaware. He's kind of hot-headed. I didn't really care what people were saying to me, and Dan kind of, you know, took me under his wing and got me to where I need to be because he knew I would be good. And I appreciate, you know, Dan doing that for me, and I still, to this day, would do anything for the guy. He's one of my best friends. Even though I don't see him a lot, I could talk to him, not see him in 10 years, and we could pick up where we left off. But Delaware, I went to Delaware because of those guys, right? Mm-hmm. Never even seen the campus. Bob Sable recruited me when Tubby Raymond was the head coach. He came to my house probably 2 or 3 days before Christmas that year. And, you know, I was getting agitated. I was getting offers from, like, other schools. I got, you know, looks for like, you know, like schools that like kind of like sucked. You know what I mean? Like in the Big East, Big Ten, and I would have never played there. You know, and like I started to get frustrated. You know, obviously the Rhode Islands, the New Hampshires, the Delawares. It was Atlantic 10 football then back then, not the CAA, what it is now. And obviously they're going to the what do they call it, the FBCS
Division I.
Yeah, right.
I still call it 1AA. Yeah.
Well, whatever. They're going to the FBCS stuff now. And, you know, obviously Andy Talley was the head coach at Villanova at the time. Mark Ferrante was the offensive line coach. Mark, I just had a good relationship with Mark. I was more, you know, like it was between Villanova and Delaware. And I just felt so bad. Like it was the first time I ever had to tell somebody I can't do that. You know what I mean? Like because Mark Ferrante was a huge part of the recruiting process. Like it was like a relationship almost. Like, and like when you're getting recruited by these people, back in the day it was different. Now there's so much social media. So Delaware comes and like before Bob Sable, I'll be like, look, I'm going to Delaware. Like I can't take this number. Like, you know, Dan's there. I just want to be a part of like something special. And I knew that year when we got recruited, just the recruiting kit, just the class that we bought in Delaware, I knew we were going to be good. And icing on the cake, John comes the next year and Mike Connor. So It's like, you know, like I'm at home. Like even though there's only 3 of them, but that's my home. Like so I got 3 people that I played with all throughout my grade school years, and you know that we can carpool home if we want to go home for the weekend. So that to me that was huge for me. So, you know, and obviously all the guys along the way that we met. But Delaware was a great experience. You know, being a redshirt freshman, kind of sitting out. Dan, I think Dan was a sophomore. Yeah, sophomore, junior. He's 2 years. Yeah, so I got to play with him. You know, so that was huge for me because like Dan played football, like you play football. He just knew he wasn't the fastest guy, but when he was on that damn field, he was fast.
Taking after the dad, Brian, man.
Yeah,
Brian
Mulhern, man. God rest his soul. That guy
was Sun Valley great. Coach at Chester High for a few years. I love him, man. Yep.
Just a great all-around family. I can't say enough about him. Like Mr. Mulhern, like he was an amazing dude. Like and again, like him, his wife, and his whole family, like they treated me like I was family. Like he always joked around with me at the Delaware games. He would always give me $1 after the game. Like I'm getting upset thinking about it, but. You know,
he would love to be seeing his grandkids play. Of course,
man.
At Haverford, you have Marcus and Matt. Okay,
yeah,
Haverford
Luke.
School of the Interact, yep, and then Luke at Strathaven. But he's looking down, obviously. All right, District 1 tournament is coming up. And you've seen some games on the TV. You've seen them on live here. We have 6 and 6A. We have Ridley And Haverford's had a great year, 8-1. Ridley, big win over Garden Valley the other night. So we have a couple of teams there, and then tell me what you know.
So I saw Ridley beat Garner Valley.
Yeah, and Garden Valley is there. Remember, there are 100 kids on the team. I heard still even for a 5A school.
So I went to the Springfield Strathaven game for the first half. I saw a lot of good things, but I was talking to some gentleman. His son plays football at Ridley. I didn't catch the guy's name, but he was talking about this Haverford high school kid running back.
Yeah, he's
like, he's going to be the player of the year. I'm like, how could he be the player of the year?
Well, we got.
There's a lot of good football players here.
Yeah, of course, I'm pushing for
the kid from Chester.
Oh, Duran Harris. Yeah.
Well, who's the running back that got screwed over last year? They couldn't play in the playoffs.
Oh, he's a ghost, we call him. Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, well, Deshaun Jackson is one of those kids too, and it's like the Harris twins. I know I'm diverting, but like you always hear about this, and it's like when you think about a guy like Coach Bell to step down to be the AD, and then Dennis Shaw comes in. Dennis Shaw's doing an amazing job with those kids. Like they just know how to. They know how to knock the dirt off and win. You know what I mean? And some of their wins aren't the prettiest, like the Park Valley game. But they won though.
I was there.
They fought. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like when you see that fight, it's like, and like just watching some of the huddle stuff that I get sent to me, like through text messages, through like old coaches like Jason McCarthy, where he's at Chi now, and like he's still advocating for some of those kids. But like them junior buck end tackles are huge, man.
Yep.
It's like. But anyways, Haverford and Ridley.
I don't have the. I can look up the brackets.
Yeah, but I think I don't know much about Haverford.
Yeah,
I don't know much about Ridley. I don't really know much about I know that number 7 from Springfield's a tough kid.
A Barber. Yeah,
he's a lacrosse player.
Springfield has a lot of lacrosse guys.
Well, he was a football player that night, bro.
Oh, he was. Yeah, well, he's a Division I lacrosse recruit.
Well, he's a Division I football player too. Then.
He's going to Maryland.
If you play Division I lacrosse at Maryland, you can play football too.
And Barber's dad, a St. James Chester great back in the day. There you go.
It's crazy.
So Haverford, yeah. So they're well, good for them. I know Coach Gal was there, Joe Gallagher, another Chester guy, St. James. He was there for years and years, and they just had to get back in the groove a little bit. And I think last year, let me see what Haverford did last year. Boy, this show's going 9-1 this year. They were 1-9 last year. It's unbelievable what they have accomplished. 5-5 the year before. So yeah, and so they and the young man I'm looking at here. The Liam Taylor, and he's only a junior, so keep an eye on.
That's the running back.
Yeah, Liam Taylor, and we'll see how things go with Haverford. I mean, during the season, they Garner Valley beat them. That's their only loss, 35-20. They beat Marple 17-0.
What's Marple's record?
Marple is 7-3. Yeah.
Make the playoffs?
Oh yeah, they're going to be in the 5A mix. So Haverford, keep an eye on them in District 1 6A, along with Ridley. They got tough games coming up. Mm-hmm. And then 5A is you got the Chester against Upper Moreland from.
When's that game?
It's 1:00 at the Chester Historic Complex Saturday. And so there are going to be a lot of people scouting that game because most of the games are Friday night. So Chester, Upper Moreland last year was 4-6. We beat them 44-0 in that game.
We could talk about that game. So we talk about Chester all the time.
So and this year Upper Moreland's 8-2, much improved. They had a lot of guys back, and they almost beat a very good 6A team, Plymouth White Marsh, who gave Manheim Township out in Harrisburg or Lancaster all they could handle this year.
So, again, Chester playing on Saturday, them being the 1 seed, they keep winning, they play at home. So
No, they're 7th seed. Everything else is on the road. Number 1 seed now is, well, let me go to the brackets right here. I think it's Springfield. But we'll get to that, yeah. So
I hate
what'd you think? Strathaven. Well, yeah. Talk about that Springfield Strathaven game again. It was a close, for a long time, and then they just wore them out. It looked like Springfield.
I was talking to somebody. I think he's an assistant on the freshman team. I saw him at Manhattan Bagel and Media, and he's like, "That Springfield was big and tough." I was like, I didn't really the only kid that I really thought was tough That number 7, he was all over the place.
Barber.
Offensive, yeah,
Yep.
he's a hell of an athlete, right? He's a junior.
He's a junior, and he's going to Maryland for lacrosse already. Things could change on that, but yeah.
Well, yeah, anything can change, but like what stuck out to me was like I'm standing on the side, like the fence, because I had my 3 kids with me, and my dad was sitting in the stands. And I'm texting my dad. I'm like, yeah, this 7 kid's a beast. It's going to be a long night. Like Shane Green comes out, runs a touchdown, scoots down the sideline, gets in fast, and like I thought it was going to be like they're up 14-0.
Yep.
It's like, and the kid throws a bomb. I don't know who he threw it to, but I mean like 50, 60-yard catch. It's like, yo, like then I'm starting to. Then you see a couple 3-and-outs. You know, like they get the ball. Then they start making some noise. They drive the field. You know, like what I'll say about that coaching staff, even though it's changed a couple times, the head coach has been consistent there.
Chris Britton.
Yeah, he has a real good. I don't know if he's a defensive coordinator, Plank.
I think Steve Lennox is still helping out with the
I don't
program,
think he helps.
so.
I can't keep up, but the guy Plank's a real good coach. He owns like a local landscape business. They're full energy, man. They just game planned better. They were ready, man. It was all business for them. It wasn't no hoot and holler, and they came out and did what they got to do, and they played football. So Springfield kind of scares me. Okay. I think they're tough. I mean, listen, speed kills.
In Academy, they open up with Academy Park, so we'll get a read on that. Academy Park 6-4. Chester beat them up pretty good, but they have a great coach.
Springfield will kill them. They're just a more physical football team.
Well,
that's my prediction.
Okay, well. Okay, then you got Marple Newtown, Chris Gicking and the gang, and they got a bunch of lacrosse guys that are tough.
Who they play?
They play Potts Grove, who's okay. It's an 8-9 matchup. Strathaven Pencrest, the Media Bowl. And the first game was kind of close this year with Strathaven pulling it out.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
You're great job, Paul Graham, building that program back. Back to Coach Clancy. I know there was I think Strathaven got a little frustrated at the end of the game there with Springfield.
What do you mean?
End of the game, there was a little, and Coach Clancy came out, had a nice talk with the guys. So I saw that, and I said, well, he was kind of like, got to keep.
He doesn't stand for the BS.
Right. I couldn't see it all, but he just told the kids, yeah.
None of this, and Mr. Clancy doesn't use profanity, so
right.
It's one of those things when he comes out and talks, you listen.
Strathaven Pencrest, who knows, right? I mean, it's.
Hey man, where's it going to be played at?
It's at Strathaven. They have the 4th place team. Garnet Valley 5th. They take on Kennett. Lance Frazier's a great coach, but I think Garnet Valley.
I don't know enough about Kennett, and I know Jeff Hill coaches on the Garnet Valley staff. I coach with him at Glen Mills.
And they're still.
Yeah, he always talks smack like, Strathaven's going down.
Ruston, Chase
They're
Haddon.
always tough.
They're against Oxford. That's an
yeah,
easy victory for Ruston. Nothing against Oxford. Then the winner of that game will play Chester or Upper Moreland. So it's going to be Chester. Well, Chester at Ruston, round 2 on a Friday night in Westchester.
So what scares me about Chester is nothing scares me. It's just the kids that they have are like just the Harris twins. They're special, man.
A lot of weapons. Nari Melvin, Larry
big
McDaniel,
they got
the line.
This kid, 53 or 56. What's his name? He's a senior this year. I think he went to Chi and then came to Chester. You know who he is.
Oh, yeah. Well, the center is Jacoby Roman, and he's been incredible this year, and the other guys on the line.
I mean, they're just like fire plugs, man. They're just like tough. They smack you in the mouth. They get up, knock the dirt off, and do it again.
Very deep team.
Yeah.
And
speed kills, man.
It's still a lot of guys coming back. So, the game with Imhotep, that was a tremendous performance.
I was like, yo, man. Like,
yeah.
I thought they were going to pull that out.
Yeah. And Jabri Wallace Coleman, Penn State recruited 4 touchdowns in that game for Imhotep. Imhotep battled East St. Louis pretty tough. Lost by 3 touchdowns, but it was a 1 touchdown.
What's their record?
1 loss to East St. Louis. Okay, the head coach of East St. Louis is right across the river from St. Louis.
They play big time.
Yeah,
they're big time.
So team. At East St. Louis just lost by 1 point in overtime. The IMG Academy. So East St. Louis is legit. That was their only loss of the year. So they came down here. Their coach is originally from Camden. So he made a business trip, came down here. Let's play Imhotep in their backyard, and it was one hell of a game. So so Chester, it'll be a lot of fun. There's a lot of good teams. The other bracket there, Phoenixville. I know their coaches.
Do we gotta buy the tickets online, like the PIAA stuff, or can we get it at the gate?
Don't know. I miss the old days, but we'll keep everybody up to date on that. Phoenixville, Upper Perkiomen, look for Phoenixville to win that game. They'd love to have another shot at Chester if they can. Upper Dublin, Unionville. Upper Dublin's always been tough. They've been there. So that's the bracket Chester's in. It's the Central League teams, Springfield, Marple Newtown, Strathaven, Pencrest, and Garnet Valley are all in the upper bracket. So unless something crazy happens, it's going to be Central League versus Central League.
Is that crazy?
Yeah. And in our bracket, the bottom bracket with Chester, it's Chester, Upper Moreland, Phoenixville, Upper Perk, Upper Dublin.
Is there like a four-way tie for the Central League champion? Title?
I think we have to wait. Haverford has a Thanksgiving game.
Upper Derby.
Yeah, so I think we have to wait on that to see. I think it's automatically a two-way tie.
When did Springfield lose, though?
Springfield lost earlier this year. Oh, you got me. And I know because I should. Let me see here. We have like a minute to go here. So Springfield lost earlier this year to. Let's say.
I mean, Springfield's going to make some noise, man.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
great
I know I'm a
coach.
Haven guy, but
Yeah.
Good is good.
Absolutely. Springfield. Let's go to that now. Just sometimes when I'm doing the show, I kind of.
Ben Johnson just commented.
Okay, Springfield. Can you see what he said?
He goes, hey,
Two great guys. Thanks, man. Ben Johnson, former assistant coach at Chester, and Harry S. Truman. Springfield lost to Haverford. So there you go. So Haverford beat Springfield, and there you go. And what a great show it was. And Chris, we thank you very much. We can go on and on.
But Pierre needs to leave.
And Pierre,
He's
thank you.
looking at me
It's 8
with
o'clock.
his,
I can't believe it's 8 o'clock
His
already.
Gucci Finucci's on right now.
All right, and you didn't curse. Well, you said
I didn't curse. If Al watched, which he probably didn't, I didn't say any curse words.
There's 7 words you can't say on TV. George Carlin said, so we didn't use.
Hey, listen, I was already reprimanded by my girlfriend just to watch my language. So,
yeah, so Chris Edwards, thank you very much. Strathaven grade. As we honor the 25th anniversary of the 1999 Strathaven High School football team with Coach Clancy still there and a lot of his guys. It's incredible. And they win it again the next year. That's the only Strathaven, the only program to win a PIAA state championship high school football from Delco. Isn't that incredible?
yeah, it's nuts.
And I think we had some teams the last few years, Garnet Valley, if there was no St. Joe's Prep, or Strathaven, if there wasn't any Imhotep, to possibly at least go to the finals. But, it is what it is.
Hey, man, listen, when we played, it was 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A. If you weren't in it, you weren't in the mix. You know what I mean? It was old school. You played 4 games before you even got to the district. So, it's one of them things. The best survive.
Yep.
Loser goes home.
Only the strong survive.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy Butler said that song way before your time. All right, Chris, thanks a lot, my man. Appreciate it.
Always a
Another
pleasure,
edition
Dave.
of
Thank you.
Delco Sports 360. I'm Dave Berman. John Pierre, thank you. You traveling man, and we'll see you next time.